Welcome to Catholic Ed for All, your weekly insight into topics of special education in Catholic schools. My name is Dr. Raul Escarpio, and I invite you to join me each week as we learn how to be more inclusive in Catholic schools and continue to live out St. John Paul II's message of open wide the doors to Christ. Many thanks go out to RCL Benzinger, who is generously sponsoring this podcast. RCL Benzinger enriches the worldwide Catholic community by providing the most engaging and highest quality resources, programs, and services rooted in the rich and diverse tradition of the Catholic faith. And now, on to our show. I am joined once again by the wonderful Mrs. Beth Foraker, founder and director of the National Catholic Board on Full Inclusion. Why, hello, Beth. Welcome to the show and thanks for being here.
Hey, Raul. Just a big joy to get to do this with you.
I am very thankful that we are able to do this once again this year. God has been very, very good to us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
Can you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Beth. I am married to a really great man. This year, we celebrated 30 years of being married together. We have 4 children. Jack, who's 26, Mary Kate, who's 24, Patrick, who's 20, who was born on our 10-year wedding anniversary, and our youngest, whose name is Caroline. And Patrick, our 3rd child, has Down syndrome, and his journey in Catholic education and helping other people access Catholic education is why we founded the National Catholic Board on Full Inclusion. I'm an educator. I was a public school educator for 13 years, and now I work for UC Davis in the School of Education, helping beginning teachers. That's my day job, and I've been doing that for 13 years now, too.
Patrick would want to remind you about that you have 2 dogs, correct?
Yes, and I have 2 dogs.
2 dogs, and she's looking for no more. So the purpose of this podcast is just to see, to show how we're thankful and grateful for the gift, and Beth and I really feel that it's a gift, if I can speak to you, speak for you, on Catholic inclusion in Catholic schools. So Beth, how have we grown or evolved in inclusion in Catholic schools?
It is really, really exciting. Remember our hashtag simmering to a boil, Raul?
Yes, ma'am.
Really simmering now. I mean, it's even more, it's just percolating and growing, and it's really been amazing. In this year, we have, well, one big milestone, Paul VI Catholic High School, which was one of the very first Catholic high schools to be inclusive, celebrated 20 years of inclusion in their Catholic high school. And because of their example, the 3 other schools within their diocese are also inclusive. And Arlington's diocese is all 4 of the Catholic high schools within their diocese are inclusive. They are the first diocese in the nation to have all of their high schools inclusive.
Fantastic. So forget a simmer to a boil. We're actually we're actually getting there. We're actually doing these things that was only talked about a few years ago. But I came into the market, even on Twitter. When I came into the Twitter market, there really wasn't a lot of talk about it. At that point, we were just promoting Catholic schools, if you remember, right?
That's
And
right.
then this topic of special education, and then all the reasons why we couldn't do special education in Catholic schools. So let's talk about what some of those reasons that worry people about starting Catholic inclusion programs are.
Well, everybody wants to start with money and say that it's very expensive to be inclusive. So that usually is the first barrier. I will say that our organization actually gives an award called the Dandy Award to Catholic schools who say yes without any formal program, formal financing, or even experts. So it is very possible to be inclusive without some special funding mechanism. But that seems to be the first barrier. What do you think, Raul?
I mean, money will always be an issue for everything, Beth. I mean, money will always be an issue why we can't have so many classrooms. Money will always be an issue why we need more classrooms. And for me, Besides money, I think it always started with who was in charge. Was it the pastor? Whose ear can we bend to try to show them, not even convince, but show them the belonging that's necessary for these students. So I always say that one of the main obstacles was either the leadership at the school, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. It's just that maybe they weren't aware of how beautiful it could be.
Well, what I say, Raul, is most of us who are older than 25 or 30, most of us were not educated in an inclusive classroom.
No.
So because of that, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we're missing out on, or how much richer our academic and social emotional experience would have been, not to mention our spiritual experience, if we had been educated alongside other people. So the current other people with different needs, the current group that is in school right now who are in these inclusive programs, they understand the value of inclusion. So when they have leadership positions, it won't be a question for them. They will say yes. And that's happening more and more and more. We meet people who are directors of programs now because of these long-standing programs who were students themselves and who are now educators.
Fantastic. So, Beth, without further ado, and this is coming with a disclaimer, we will not be able to talk about everybody who has inspired us this past year, but I want to start with some people that are bringing inclusion to the forefront in my eyes, and just please chime in like we always do. And this is not about recognizing people saying, "Yeah, you're super cool." It's just saying thank you in my eyes, Beth. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You have my prayers and blessings as you continue forward. Can we agree on that?
Yes. Our gratitude.
I am going to start with one of my heroes. I will start with Michael Boyle
Mm.
at the Greeley Center. There was an old '80s commercial with Michael Jordan, like Mike. I want to be like Mike, and and I want to be
That's
like Mike. I mean, just
perfect.
what he's doing with we just addressed, Beth, the leadership position.
Yes,
Just getting all these principles certified and I have quoted Mike on more than one occasion when he's always saying baptism is their birthright.
that's right.
When we decide whether they should be in with a child with exceptionality should be in a school, Mike always says baptism is their birthright.
That's right. Well, and his whole team is so fantastic. What he's created at Loyola is a true simmering pot of inclusion. It's beautiful to see.
Yes, it really is. It really is. You're Tag, you're on.
Okay, well, I think I have to shout out Francesca Pellegrino, who received the NCEA award this year for her amazing work in creating Catholic Coalition for Special Education. That is an advocacy organization that supports the Diocese of Baltimore, Maryland, and the Diocese of Washington, D.C. And on our website, we have a map of inclusive Catholic schools. And if you look over there, you will see just another simmering pot of inclusion. It's pretty incredible.
Okay, back to me, and I am going to tag into the Fire Foundation. The
Mm.
marvelous work and in Kansas City, in Oregon, and help me, Beth, help me with the other places.
Fire has affiliates now, which is fantastic. Kansas City's group is over 20 years old. So if you look on our map, you'll see a simmering pot in Kansas City, Missouri, but you'll also see a simmering pot in Kansas City, Kansas with Embrace. But Fire has two new affiliates this year. One is in New Hampshire and one is in Chicago. We have ICE, which is in Portland, Oregon, another amazing advocacy organization. We have a really great organization in Toledo, Ohio, and we have Spire. We have we really also have to say the Diocese of Grand Rapids, Michigan, because their leadership has made it made inclusion a priority, and they are really a model for what other dioceses can do. They've done a ton of professional development, and they have chosen educators to be educated through the Notre Dame's program for inclusive education. So shout out to, again, Christy Bonfiglio, another amazing professor, creating another simmering pot of inclusion at Notre Dame University.
Yeah, her and
Uh,
Sean. Her and Sean. I can't forget Sean, who is
I go
a whiz.
to all amazing professors. Three professors work together collaboratively to build incredible professional development opportunities for Catholic school teachers and principals. And I can't forget Vicki Graff at Loyola Marymount University. She is doing amazing work in inclusion as well.
Yes, she is, and she was a past guest of mine, and she brought nothing but a wealth of knowledge. So go, Vicky, go. I want to also give two quick shout outs. The first one is to Mary Donahue at the USCCB that
Yes,
that is furthering the mission of Catholic schools and intertwined or within that, she's also bringing in special education. How can we forget the National Catholic Educational Association? That
there you
that
go.
should have been our first one. And the boldness of some of the staff there to want to include a thread to their conference on special education and to the exceptional learners conference that's coming up. So
Yes,
we need the National Catholic Educational Association. We need to pray for them. We need to make sure that they stay strong, especially with special education, because it's not going away, folks. That's my joke. It's you can't just
yeah.
take care of it. It's going to be there. Anyone else, my friend?
Um, well, I think we want to mention the families, because a lot of families, when you have a child with a diagnosis, feel very isolated. I've received a lot of people emailing and calling, and I think that isolation is so deeply painful. So that when these advocacy organizations are created within your diocese or within your area, it is such a gift of the Holy Spirit to these people,
Yes,
because
yes,
they are barely hanging on, and then to feel wanted and encouraged is just everything. So for the families that are out there wondering, is it possible? It's because of other families that have said, I want this for my child. How can I do this? What can I do to support the school to make it happen? And that is how many of these advocacy organizations have been created. Um, and of course, all of it really comes down to those amazing students who are so sacred and holy and bring something so important to our Catholic communities. Um, and I'm forever grateful for all the educators and holy members of different faith communities of saying, I see your value, I see you, you are welcome here.
yes, yes, absolutely. Really quick, I want to give a quick shout out to all the homeschool families
Yes,
that are in the background a lot of times, a lot of dedicated moms and dads who are really working and reaching out. And if to those that, especially if their children learn different, which duh, we all learn different anyway, right? But the ones that are having difficulty, that are, we hear you and we're here for you. You reach out to any of us, and we'll be glad to give you strategies or help you in any way. A lot of the resources out there, my friend, I'm very grateful for. Very grateful for our mutual friend Doreen Engel.
I was
And
just going to say, yeah, and her amazing book.
yes, and her
Her,
amazing book that we can plug. There you go, Doreen. The Archdiocese of Washington. The just I know that the Diocese of Oklahoma is doing
yeah,
fantastic things. We know San Jose, not too far
yes,
from you, is with Tara Rowe is trying to do Rebecca Hamill, I think in Tennessee, Nashville, is doing
yes.
great things there. There's just so many, so many. So if we didn't get you on this one, please tag us on Twitter or on Instagram and say, hey, Beth, hey, Raul. By the way, Beth is at Inclusion Chick, and I'm
Yeah,
at Catholic Ed for All. Just tag us and say, hey, you forgot about us. What happened to us? And we'll give you a shout out in that way.
we
But
want to know what's happening, so share it with us. It's
yes,
hard for us to know what's happening. I will say that the Archdiocese of New York City is really beginning There are a lot of people doing good work, and we live in times where we can be connected and can collaborate and share so easily. So if we don't know, share it with us. There are so many amazing Catholic educators who are being inclusive, doing great work, and we want to know about it. And Twitter is a fantastic professional development tool for every educator and family member. There's a special chat called is the hashtag Catholic Ed Chat,
Yes.
run by Barb Gilman, that happens every Saturday. It's 6 a.m. my time, so I often miss it, but I think it's 7 a.m. Midwest time. She's in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
But anyway, you want to get on Catholic Ed Chat and be part of that. So much good work is happening in Catholic schools.
Right.
And also, let's not forget Tim Ewell. He's doing a podcast and sending out a ton of information also about Catholic education that we want to be paying attention to.
Yes, Dr. Tim Ewell. Dr. Tim Ewell. I can't forget about my peeps in Central Westchester with Noel Beal and Eileen Murtha. I just
Yeah.
and finally I have to recognize the university folks. The ones
Yes.
the ones that at George Mason that are allowing Patrick, as we heard last week, to be there. Not allowing him to be there, but are opening the doors for people like Patrick. The Well, I know you know a couple more. Can you just share, Beth?
Yeah, I just want to say that I've been searching for a long time for a Catholic university to build an inclusive college program that's 4 years with inclusive living, and I found it last week. It's Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. It's a 4-year program. They're just beginning, so they're only going to have 2 students at the very beginning, but they will someday, I mean, George Mason's program is 18 years old, so someday they too will have a vibrant community of learners like Patrick has. I mean, Patrick has 48 students in his program, so pretty incredible.
Okay.
But other universities doing great work. Syracuse University, there's a whole website called thinkcollege.net that will allow you to look at your own map at your own state and see. Oklahoma started its very first program, and now they already have, I think, 2 at least. Georgia has a bunch of programs. Florida has a bunch of programs. Pennsylvania has a bunch of programs coming on. And all of those universities should be so proud of themselves. Vanderbilt has a fantastic program. So if you're an alum of a Catholic university, you can reach out and let them know that these inclusive college programs are possible and really important.
Fantastic. Just in a year, Beth. I mean, I know a year is a long time away, but look how far we've come in a year already. Can you imagine what next year is going to look like? So with that,
I'm thinking a big university is going to say yes, Raul. I know it.
Yeah. So with that in mind, my friend, what should Catholic special education look like?
I think it just looks like students with identified learning needs, typical students, students who have experienced trauma, students who might be working and needing special emotional support. All of them are together in the classroom, learning alongside each other with educators who are supporting them. That seems like an impossible task, but it actually isn't. When we are doing engaging and individualized instruction, we know how to do it. We know what it looks like, and we use best practices in education, and we can create those classrooms that are full communities of learners, all
Amen.
learners.
Amen. Beth, I want to thank you for joining me today. I wish you nothing but prayers and blessings, and for myself, I'm very thankful for our friendship.
Thank you so much, Raul, for this amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful for the work you're doing and the messages you're sending and the gifts of prayer and faithfulness that you model for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you, Raul. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week. If this podcast was a blessing to you, can you please head over to iTunes and subscribe and give us a review or a rating? It really does help other Catholic educators find the podcast and use it as a resource. Thanks again to the amazing people at RCL Benziger for generously sponsoring this podcast. Check out their new resource for Catholic schools, Blessed Are We, Faith in Action, which enables teachers to share the love of Christ with children who have special needs. Visit rclbenziger.com to learn more. Join me again next time as we continue to advance God's kingdom by including all of God's children in Catholic schools and faith formation. Until then, this is Dr. Raul Escarpio. Thanks for listening, and may God bless your day.